The wait between episodes is getting utterly excruciating in all honesty. The looming sense of doom just keeps pervading the air while the ants get freakier and freakier. The episode starts off with the Hunters Association contacting Netero to use due or overwhelming force to take care of the ants. They're sending Netero of all people in this, so you know this infestation has the potential to be catastrophic. Man, I've said it before, but the Hunter world is a cutthroat place. No wonder the characters don't seem to see death as too much of a big deal, at least when it's done to people they don't particularly care for. So I saw something in this scene that kept catching my eye, and that was the ladybug. Ladybugs are said to resemble many things from good omens, to luck, to fire. I think they were going for at least one of these, I'm not sure which though. Good luck doesn't really apply here, possibly the good omen of the Hunters Association joining in to annihilate the infestation. Fire is possible too, since fire is seen as a destructive force. I looked into the number of spots on the ladybug to see if that had any meaning, but I couldn't find anything substantial. So yeah, Netero is joining in on this. This arc is going to be large in scale if you couldn't figure that out already. After thinking about it for a bit, I think the ladybugs are actually supposed to have some symbolic meaning as well as representing infestation, because different ladybugs are in each of the beginning scenes, from Netero to who he was talking to our goofy little group talking about the hierarchy. With how strong these guys are, you're going to be seeing Netero in action, probably giving his all. Are you excited? Next scene we get a digital illustration of how the Chimera Ant hierarchy functions. You've got to admit, whether or not the Chimera Ants stick around forever in the story, which the anime-only viewers have no idea of, this hierarchy is really fleshed out. I particularly like the switch in the ranks made when the king is born, since only the royal guard is moving over to his side. It shows you just how much of a behemoth the royal guard is. The exposition is fun, and I've always loved the group dynamics of Kite's friends. It's the little things, man. I love the design of Spinner's fingernails and the way she gently picked up the ladybug and signaled 3 in close to the same gesture. Hunter x Hunter has a lot of cute characters, and it doesn't have to use big boobs to achieve that. I must say it's rare for a diagram to scare the bejeebus out of you so easily. Just watching the ant chart multiply on that screen rapidly was pretty scary. Enter Rammet acting like Cell, achieving his perfect form except with much less class. Rammet fills the entire cavern with laughter that comes from a deep desire for blood within his body. Colt and Peggy are legitimately simultaneously in awe and petrified. I'm sorry, but as weird as it sounds, it puts a little smile on my face to see Rammet just be so psyched. He is just so into this nin thing. He knows he can kill those stupid kids who dared play rock, paper, scissors in front of him and give him a little electroshock treatment. Rammet punching Colt with his newly acquired powers demonstrates exactly why there's an extermination effort against these guys. The Hunters Association may not know about this, but Ants awakening Nin is very deadly. Rammet is really growing on me. In the manga, I didn't notice him too much, even though you'd think, hey, Speedo and rabbit ears and all of that, he's pretty noticeable, but I just never remembered him much. In the anime, he's a thrilling character who enjoys delivering pain onto others in an entertaining fashion. Seriously, if you can make me like someone with rabbit ears and a Speedo, you're doing something right. The way he bent back to punch Colt while the music kicked up was one of the most badass things I've seen in a while. Thankfully, Colt has the thick shell of a Chimera Ant, or that punch could have rendered his whole face into a messed-up Mr. Potato Head. We get a notice that Haga is calling all nearby ants to find the rare prey. Gon's foot stepping on a cliff gently kind of reinforces how delicate humans can be. It's a nice little touch to add after letting the audience know that a bunch of monsters are coming after these human children. We get an establishing shot that once again gives a sense of visual awareness. A wise-looking frog looks down on the greenery and eventually spots Kite. How they pace this scene really lets your mind lose itself in the immersion. Kite notices himself being noticed, and the boys stop in their tracks because Kite has stopped. Everyone has to be alert. Kite points out that they're surrounded and the action begins. The frog ant comes crashing down and a fun little piece of dialogue happens. The frog provides them 3 options instead of just being like "Rawr" and attacking them like what would happen in a lot of other shows. He seems to have inherited logic from some humans and is talking like someone who just stumbled upon logic would. He talks as coldly robotic as he can. This scene's a little spooky because he's saying if you run away, that would make them angry. But if you give up, that'll infuriate them, so you better fight, you little bastards. As he says this, a fleet of ants is revealed around him. This will be nothing like their brief encounter with Rammet. Kite turns sour lemons into sweet lemonade by assuring the boys that it's alright, things couldn't be going better. Gon steps up to fight first as Kite says dialogue that's a little advanced for a children's show or a shonen, which is again one of the reasons that makes Hunter x Hunter a superior series. Years down the line, when I review the actual series as a whole, it's going to be very high up on my ranks. He talks about their individualism being their possible downfall. Gon tries to bargain with his opponent as usual and tries to convince him to surrender, which is interesting to me once again. Gon hears straight from this freaky armadillo's mouth that he'll be fed to the queen if he loses. He's fine with the risk of himself dying, but still doesn't want to kill the ant. Perhaps because Kite asked him to kill last episode, he was less reluctant? They were obviously being assaulted though last episode, so that's a little different because the armadillo ant hasn't charged him yet. The ant doesn't take the bargaining well and charges Gon while my favorite battle theme that has been making recent appearances shows up. This seems like it's going to be a very common musical piece throughout the arc. It has aspects of danger, excitement, freshness, and a frantic air about it. Gon dodges the first attack looking at the ant like, is this dude serious? Then the foe reveals his battle tactic, which is to switch directions with his tail when he's rolling. I like this because it's a natural and logical way for him to battle, no special powers involved. Gon says an interesting line here, I'm fine. Is he saying this to convince himself he's strong? He's been beat around a lot lately and does not want to believe himself weak or a kid. Is he saying it to convince the others he's alright? It's a mix of both in my opinion. Visual mediums can have a lot of advantages, such as the ant telling Gon the main reason he kills, quote, because it's fun. A wrinkled psychopathic face immediately appears up close to the screen. This is much more effective than any description and makes the because it's fun line have more fire to it. I mean, you're hearing dialogue you wouldn't have heard earlier in this series, and I'm sure if it can freak even us adults out, it's probably going to traumatize the kids in Japan watching this. What I mean is watching a freaky armadillo say he likes watching people vomit up organs with a plop. Madhouse is so true to this adaptation it's like their religion. They even include what people would call unnecessary dialogue not vital to anything in the plot, like the armadillo saying, it's hilarious because it looks like barf. But they did include that line, not only for flavor, but it's a good thing they did because that adds kind of a new shade to the villainy of the ants. If you make someone disgusted with something, they start to dislike it very quickly, which works with our hero Gon because the ant is quickly crushed after Gon grabs him and squeezes the very life out of him. Since the armadillo lowlife is out of the picture, it's time for the next opponent. A rhinoceros ant steps up to face Killua. It's important to note that Gon objects to him calling his comrade trash in this moment. I love Killua's line here about 10 times stronger being a joke. Kite fills us in on some more background behind the boys' fighting styles, and he's right about Gon having a slow start because that armadillo got an attack on him that could have been lethal to others. Sudden tonal change. A red ocean of anxiety wraps its tendrils around Kite. Kite's anxiety reaches critical mass. There's some very effective foreshadowing here, but I'm not allowed to point it out until later in the story. It's doubtful that newbies will catch it. We switch to Rammet laughing so hard that his abs do a little dance for us. Peggy remains the straight man and points out how to incorporate the mysterious life energy into their battle strategies. The chase is on to get Pockle, as Colt points out, wheezing from the force of a charged Nen punch. Killua takes care of the angry rhinoceros dude pretty quickly by always aiming at his heart, first testing with his claw. Then he repeatedly shocks it to crack the ant's shell, and in the end he goes for the heart. The gore is shown on a white screen, and you might get to see that in color on the Blu-ray release. Kite steps in to take care of the remaining stragglers. What's hilarious is he considers 2, a giant scythe, to be a bad roll, but that's probably only because he has allies within the area that the scythe can severely harm. Kite rotates his scythe seemingly for aim and also for dramatic effect, and this scene is just so well done. The way the wind creates a cyclone, the stylized attack name that appears on the screen then cuts in half, the moon sparkle, it's a very majestic attack. Strong emotions can lead to ants remembering moments from the past like the queen eating them. Kite triggers this in the frog ant. The area is a total mess with blood and trees laying in wake of the attack. Kite scolds Gon lightly for sympathizing with the enemy, and instead of accepting that Gon won't sympathize with creatures that call their friends trash, Togashi flips that on its head by Kite worrying about the point of view and the risks it contains. I thought the eyes at the end of the episode were someone else's, to be honest, but they were still very cool. End of the episode. The preview looks very lighthearted and fun, so surely that's what'll happen next episode. And we get a squeaky voice from a shadow that appears, with glowing eyes. What in the world could that be? I've got my guinea pig, Apollo, here to help me rate the episode. If she eats the carrot, the episode gets an A++. If she doesn't eat it, it just gets an A+. So here we go. Oh, are you gonna go for it? Are you gonna go for it? Come on, you can eat it. Oh, she ate it! Oh my god, she ate it, yes! She's usually a little brat about this. Anyway. Alright, well, Apollo has decided this episode gets an A++, so we have to take her word for it, so see you next time.